In the first half of this video, I'm just getting ancient Dubois from the nether, and then from there making netherite armor. And after that, I make a prison for my villagers. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. But other than that, let's get into these stories. The first story. I'm tired of being a good person. I'm the only responsible adult in my entire circle, and I'm exhausted. I don't know what this is. Maybe seeking advice. Maybe it's just a vent. I'm just dumping, I guess. All comments are welcome. I'm almost 40-year-old dad. Have a wife and 2 young kids, 5 and 9. Not particularly successful, just a responsible adult, or my idea of a responsible adult, I guess. My wife is like this as well. We are an excellent team and handle our stuff pretty well. I had a particularly harsh upbringing and met a lot of people that helped us as kids. I wanted to be like that. In all of my employment ventures, I never got the buzz or jolt from a good sale or from building something functional. I always felt my best when I was helping someone. I don't have the ability to help people financially, but I try my hardest to be as altruistic as possible. I do nice things. I return a cart that isn't mine to avoid it hitting someone's car. I pick up trash I see outside. I was raised around handymen, so if I can fix something for someone, I will. That sort of stuff. I just do my best to be good. I'm not religious, so I'm not doing this out of fear of being deemed a sinner or something silly like that. I just like to help. Honestly, I tend to figure that I'm doing what a normal good adult male would do. My entire circle, family, work, friends, are all useless adults, save for a very scant few. My adult siblings tend to ask for rides to or from work always at the moment they need to be there, no forethought. They and my mother and stepfather are constantly asking for money. Their utility bills are always months behind, somehow never shut off, just racking up. They have the attitude like since I own a home and can afford my bills and my wife and I's car payments, that we are loaded. We're honestly just scraping by for the most part. We have what we need and our bills are always paid, but there isn't really excess or disposable income per se. I skimp and save when we want or need something major. For example, I replaced the dishwasher in our home for Christmas this year, and of course got a real must be nice vibe from all of them. I save my butt off and still afford a just okay appliance. At work, I'm one of 2. It's me and the owner, who happens to be one of my oldest friends as well. Our office opens at 9 a.m. I try to be there at 8:50 at the latest. He's never been there before 9:30, unless a scheduled event or meeting forces it to happen. Every day he wastes his time, spends money indiscriminately on dumb things, and acts weirded out that I don't do the same. Does the least amount of work possible and skates on by. Any other employer would have fired him years ago, but he owns the place, so here we are. The money thing, I kind of get. He's a single with no children. He can do that. It's his attitude towards me when he expects me to do the same. Things like, you should buy this too, it's only $80, that kind of stuff. Aside of work, he constantly needs help with projects he wants to do around the house, and he made our relationship kind of annoying in the way that he employs me, so I have to make myself available at all times, like a butler or something. If I can't do it, I take endless hell about it at work, usually in the form of, God, that insert project was so much work. Would have been great to have some help. I know most would say, go get a new job. It's not that simple. This person wouldn't take it well or maturely. I'd lose my friend, and some of my other friendships would be compromised due to his connections with some of them. I also make a decent living here that I wouldn't make anywhere else just starting out. Rocking a hard place sort of thing. I have a handful of friends that constantly need help like this as well. Adults that just can't handle normal adult stuff. A friend that can't manage to put together a smoker they brought themselves. Another that can't hook up a washer and dryer. Or another that always wants me to come hang when I have a family that I'd rather not abandon at the drop of a hat. It's just constant stuff like this. Like I said, I enjoy being helpful, but damn it, at this point it's just too consistent. Am I enabling a bunch of adult children? Are people really this bad at handling their own shite? I was raised by my grandmother for the most part, so I've got an old school value sort of way about me, but I've hit a point of exhaustion with something I used to enjoy. I really did like be helpful. Now I'm having a hard time giving a damn. Dude. Nah, you're a real one, bro. He's a real one. He's doing his thing. I feel like I'm living the exact same experience. People, for whatever reason, think I'm loaded when we're just barely scraping by. We have what we need always when we need it, so that's a blessing as is, but we don't have a whole lot of excess either. So I relate with you, and I feel the same way. I always try to be helpful, always try to be a good person, always try to put people's needs and wants above my own for the most part. And yeah, it's crazy how this is the second time I'm seeing this in this week alone about people talking about how they're tired of being a good person or tired of taking care of people or they're exhausted by it. Not that they're going to stop, but it gets to the point where you feel like, what's in it for me? I'm doing all this for all these people, but what's in it for me? And it sounds selfish saying like that, but you're giving so much to all these people. When am I going to get something in return? When am I going to, receive my due? So I feel him 100%. I don't think he's a bad dude at all. I get the exhaustion. I get the frustration being around a bunch of, children, adults that can't really take care of things. I get it 1,000%, man. I get it 1,000%. But I wouldn't change a thing if I were you. I would keep being a good person, keep taking care of your family, keep prioritizing the good stuff. And then even the point about people being like, hey, just buy this, it costs this much. Like, I could just fork over money willy-nilly. Like, I don't have a family to take care of as well, wife and kids. So I agree 100%, bro. I felt this in my soul.
The next story. Friends stripped my sister on my birthday. When I was 19 years old, I brought some friends over for my birthday, and we were going to have a sleepover. My parents were out for the weekend after wishing me happy birthday. It was just my older sister at home, and she was just going to stay in her room and study. My friends came over, and we all started taking shots of liquor, and it was pretty fun. We played video games, blasted music, and cut my birthday cake. While cutting the cake, my sister came downstairs to get some food. When my friends saw my sister, they offered her a shot of alcohol too. I told her it's okay if she wants to drink, and she said she already does. I was shocked that my sister even drank. I had no idea. We all started taking shots, and after 30 minutes, my friends keep pressing me to take more since it's my birthday. I took more, and I honestly was about to pass out. My friends took me upstairs to my room, and I blacked out on my bed for like 2 hours. When I woke up, finally, I came downstairs, and what I saw was insane. One of my friends had my drunk-ass sister sitting on his lap while she was topless. Everyone was staring at her breasts and laughing along. I started to make a scene and yell at them. That's when one of them started to yell back, and I told all of them to get out of my house. My sister was too drunk to even say anything. After they left, she just went to sleep. I talked about it with her the next day, and she says it was okay, but I still have hard feelings about it. Yeah, those weren't your friends, bro. Those definitely weren't your friends, especially since they went out of their way to get you out of the room so they can be involved with your sister. I feel like personally you weren't mad enough, especially since one of them had the audacity to yell at you in your own home, bro. Should have blacked out and beat him within 2 inches of his life. Another man in your house yelling at you. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you and your sister. Like I said, those definitely weren't your friends. They purposely got you out the way so they can try to do some insane stuff. Hopefully those people are out your life. The next story. I'm in love with one of my best friends, even though he has a girlfriend. Hi. I don't know how to do this very well, and I'm on mobile, so forgive weird formatting. I've known one of my best friends for about 4 years now, and I've known his current girlfriend for 7. She's not a good person. She isolates him from his friends and family, and he failed all of his classes this term because she demands all of his time to be spent on her. She trash talks us, as in my friend group, to him, and then trash talks him to us. I never listen to her because I'm a lot closer to him than her, and I get to hear both sides of whatever is happening. He's generally such a good person. He's loyal and funny, and he really cares about his friends and the people close to him. He's a bit awkward sometimes, but everyone in my group is. We dated briefly in the first year we knew each other, and it was the worst shite show known to man. He and I don't talk about it, but his girlfriend still brings it up and is always jealous of me for things I don't even think about. My friend and I semi-often to just F around and play games. but she's jealous that he doesn't call her that often. They hang out basically every day, whereas I rarely get to see him because he's in uni 1 year, but I'm a senior in high school. I don't even know what the point of this is. She always gets so mad or pissy and reclusive whenever he has fun with someone who isn't her. I know she needs therapy for reasons she's disclosed to us before, and I know it's out of her control, but it's hurting one of my closest friends, and I feel like no matter what has happened in someone's life, it's not an excuse to hurt someone you supposedly care about. I love talking to him, and the few times we get to see each other in person are so fun, but I know he's dedicated to his girlfriend. I'm not going to be that person who's like, I want him to break up with her so I can be with him, but I don't think it's a healthy relationship, and all of our other friends agree. I know that I need to be a supportive friend first before even thinking about doing anything else, so that's what I've been doing. Even if they stay together for the rest of our lives and they move past their issues, I'm not going to say anything, and I'm not going to be happy for them. My feelings will pass with time, and I can learn to get over it. Man, I just want my friend to be okay. I mean, it's not bad that you care. It's a sucky situation, especially when you see both sides of the coin and you see how she could be toxic and you obviously like him. So of course you're gonna be on his side with most things as well. I mean, if things really are that bad and they both kind of complain about each other, or he vents to you about her and she vents to you about him, then the odds of them staying together are very slim from the outside looking in. Obviously, I don't know the relationship. So, I mean, you might have your chance come up pretty soon if you just, play your cards right and just, like you said, do your thing, be supportive, make sure your friend's okay. I feel like checking in with him often wouldn't be an issue. Obviously, you said his girlfriend's pretty jealous, especially since you guys had a relationship in the past. But, check in, be supportive, like you said you were going to do. I mean, you could wish him the breakup. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know, maybe just pull him aside one day or give him a call or something and just really check on him and see how he's doing, how he feels about his relationship. Just, pick his brain. Don't necessarily pour your feelings out in the same conversation, but, see where his head is at. And that kind of sets you up for a possible future. At least you know what he's thinking, how he's feeling. And that's like I said, a good stepping stone. But good luck to you. The next story. I'm in love with a priest. My priest. Yeah, I can't keep telling people I know this because they either look at me like I've gone completely insane or maybe turn it into something sexual. And it is, duh. I'd like him to rip my clothes off and do really whatever he likes with me, and vice versa, but that's also such a little part of it. I really am just utterly in love with him. I'm not at all a religious woman. My mom was, though, Catholic until she died about 2 years ago. I'm really something of a whorish woman, but I started going church about 6 months ago because, well, I wanted to stop being a whore, and church felt like it could cleanse me of the habit. I didn't expect much, but the priest was good, clearly. I mean, he's gorgeous, in a way I feel like almost anyone can appreciate. He's not older either. Why did I think priests had to be senile? He's not by any means, and he's nice. He's really effing nice. And he swears, and he remembers the people who come to church, and he's the type of priest all traumatized anti-religion people have crisis over. Talks about love, acceptance, understanding. He doesn't spread hate, never once. And when I confessed my guts out, he didn't judge me. And he asked me to come back. And again, and again, again. And I did keep coming back. And for a while, I didn't really want to talk to him because I was scared. But I did, and it was really good. He's easy to talk to. Not just as a priest, but as a person. I think he's really funny as well, which is just effing great, isn't it? And then we talk at every visit I did to church, and then outside of it as well. Smallish town perks, more like I stalked him. So I've gone for park walks with him and had coffee with him, where we didn't talk about religion at all, and we just talk as two people, and I've tried so effing hard not to fall in love with him, but I just have. I do, and I know he cannot love me. Well, it's obvious for the cannot part. Also, why would he want to? I might not be a whore anymore, but I was, and he knows that. That's a con. I'm also a bit all over the place, and he definitely knows it, so
I'm not the woman who seduces the priest. I think a girl, Amara, who goes pretty often, could maybe do it, but she's a bit too stiff. I think I don't know. I've genuinely lost the plot. And now I've watched Fleabag, recommended by a friend. If you know, you know. So now I'm extra tortured, extra suffering, and for the past hour I've been psychoanalyzing all of our interactions and decided maybe there are moments I think he's struggling to be faithful. I mean, he does struggle with his faith sometimes. He's open about that. But I mean, struggling with me because of me? But I think that's just me being ridiculous. I can't even escape him because I didn't go to church for 3 weeks and avoided him like the plague, and he came knocking on my effing door, asking if I was dead. So I can't even vanish. This is now Reddit's problem. Please, people, help me. I desperately need it. Well, first of all, he came knocking on your door to check on you to make sure you're alive, so he obviously cares about you. You know, he cares about his flock. You're part of his flock now. And all I'm going to say is you miss all the shots you don't take because you're worried. You know that he knows your past and you feel like for that reason he can't be with you. But if he's about love, forgiveness, and acceptance, he doesn't spread hate. Never once. You confess to him. He's the priest. I feel like you're overthinking it. He would be a hypocrite to judge you for any of those things, especially if you changed, because that's kind of the point. It's like I said, he obviously cares about you. You guys have spent time together outside of church. You miss all the shots you don't take. So just shoot your shot. Again, I know you're worried about him thinking you're a whore, but if you're doing better, you're proven to do better. And then you even taking the step to go to church to change that habit of you being a whore shows him that you want to change. So I feel like he can accept you. He can understand you. If you guys like each other, be together. The next story. I need to tell this story, but I can't tell anyone I know. I need to tell the story. I need to get it out of me. It happened when I was in the military and I did something bad because it was the right thing to do. And it bothers me, but I can't tell people about it. It could get other people in trouble and myself, I suppose. I was an ER nurse on a military base. There was an accident during training. Yes, it happened all day, every day. But this one, it was a flight incident. Flight incidents are a big deal. People die and multi-million-dollar aircraft are destroyed. The accident was no different. My patient was the pilot, who ejected and lived. Others did not. And the accident was considered my patient's fault. So they bring the guy in. He walked in, he was fine, racked with survival's guilt. Sure. And we had to do the whole trauma x-ray thing, but I was the highest ranking nurse in the ER that day. For that reason, the flight incident documentation was tasked to me, and I was to perform the mandate chain of custody blood draw to test the pilot for drugs and alcohol. The room was somber. There had been deaths today, deaths of people who were close to each other, like brothers. The pilot's entire squadron, all his bosses' bosses were there. They passed, though, and a couple sat with him the whole time. I drew his blood. It's a chain of custody, which means every person who touches the vials has to sign who they hand off to at each handoff. It's for legal purposes, to verify that no one tampered or switched out a vial. I don't know why, but I drew excess blood, probably because it was my habit to draw a vial or two extra in case a doctor wanted to add tests so I wouldn't have to stick a patient with a needle twice. I had 2 extra vials. When I gathered my trash up, I put them in my pocket. I don't know why. I usually would have just thrown them away, but I had them on my person when the pilot was discharged. His friends and coworkers took him from our site to the nearest bar to get immediately wasted and begin to grieve. I don't know whether or not this is normal or standard operating procedure or even sanctioned by the military. But whatever, his squadron went and got drunk together as they attempted to pull the pilot from his abyss of self-blame. I suppose it is important when that's your job to get past it so you can fly again. And I'm not going to judge anyone for how they managed to do that. It's got to be difficult going back to work with the same people, all of you knowing you were piloting during an accident that killed other people. So yeah, they get a pass to go get blacked out drunk from me. But not an hour after they left, the lab called me. There was a problem. The chain of custody blood draws needed drawn again. Someone had dropped the first one on the floor, smashed into a million pieces. Was the pilot's clean blood test? Now he was at the bar, getting drunk,
and I had to call him and have him come in to get a new blood draw. It would not be clean. He would have alcohol in his blood, but I still had to have him come in. Everyone understood the ramifications of what was happening. With alcohol in his blood sample that was taken for his flight incident, he would be court-martialed. There would be a trial, he would get charges, and he would do time in the brig. His commanding officer came with him. I don't remember if I had a star or two or a bird, but his expression was grave. The pilot's fate, I believe, was sealed, unless he himself told the truth that this was a redraw, that it happened well after the pilot was off duty, that he had begun drinking to ease his grief and was called back. But that meant the flight incident report had no blood draw. That would end the pilot's career. With whether or not he was drunk or on drugs during the incident up in the air, he would be grounded, possibly indefinitely. He would have to crawl his way back up to where he was trusted to fly again. If he was elite or wanted to be an elite pilot, that's the end of his dream. Walking the pilot into the room where I was drawing his blood was like walking a career into its gallows. The whole time I did the paperwork and drew his blood, I knew what I had to do. The commanding officer stammered and said things and made explanations. I don't know what he thought I could do about this situation. I'm pretty sure he had no idea that I could or would do anything. No one pressured me, I'm trying to say. No one threatened me. No one coerced me to do what I did. I did all on my own, and no one knew what I was planning. I took the blood I had just drawn into my right hand. The pilot was looking down at the ground, his head hanging in grief, for the dead and for himself. "Look at me," I said. "Look at me." I waited for his eyes to meet mine. He had to understand what was happening, and that everything would be okay. "Do you remember who drew your blood earlier today?" "Who did it?" "Who?" I asked him, demanded of him. "You did. It was you," he replied. Holding his blood in my right hand, I reached into my pocket with my left. Demonstratively, I took out the blood I had held onto, and I told him, "This is some of the blood I drew from you earlier. This is yours. There was extra. This blood came from you." He didn't look blank exactly. It was a moment just before understanding. I looked at him, at his commander, and then turned and put the blood I just drew from him in a Sharps container bin, the garbage. I threw the new blood draw away, and I put the vials I drew on him earlier down in front of me and set about filling out my document. The only lie was the time of the blood draw. I was falsifying a document, but that was his blood. I drew it, and it never left my custody. There was no way he was going to have a clean blood for this draw. I knew it. His commander knew it. He knew it. Whether the commander thought I was swapping out someone else's blood for his, the pilot and I knew. That was the pilot's blood. It was just the extra vials I drew earlier. Relief washed over the room. The pilot mumbled something to his commander. I knew I was committing a crime, but the pilot was not drunk or under the influence in any way during the accident, nor when he came to me the first time. Upon his return, he was not drunk, but there would be alcohol in his blood. If that blood ran, his career would be over, and it would be over unjustly, because he was sober when I got the first sample. I don't remember the look on his face afterwards, or whether either of them said to me in gratitude. I was hearing my heartbeat and the blood rushing in my ears, because I knew it would be me doing time in the brig if anyone knew what I had just done. I blew them off, waved them away, and out of the room. They couldn't walk out triumphantly. They couldn't show that their spirits had lifted, couldn't slap me on the back. They had to leave, now without a fuss, so no one had any idea what I had just done. It bothers me. I'm a liar. I faked official documents. I feel terrible about it, but I'd do it again. It was just the right thing to do. Even if it messes with me to this day, it's good to get it off my chest. Legally, did you do something wrong? Yes. Morally, I feel like you did the right thing. I feel like this is one of those things where you were a hero, but no one could really know who you are or what you did, because you really saved that man's life. Like you said, if they were to draw that new blood, he was done for. And you took his blood earlier. That was his blood. He knew you took his blood earlier. I feel like you did the right thing in that moment. Again, all you did was falsify some documents as far as when the blood was drawn, but
Either way, you did the right thing. I feel like you should not feel bad about what you did that day. Because like I said, morally, you win. You did the right thing. That man was not drunk during the incident. He was not impaired during the incident. That was a fact. That blood showed that that was a fact. The last story. Went to confess to my husband about something I did, but his confession was worse. My husband and I, 30s, have been married for a little more than 10 years and have children together. We were happily married in the first few years, or so I thought, until I came across a message on his phone that came off as flirtatious. He dismissed it at the time as no big deal, and I left it alone. For the next couple of years, there was moments that I would catch him texting this woman, or vice versa, and it would end in major fights, where I would imply he must be doing something behind my back, but he insisted he never cheated on me. In my heart, I knew he cheated on me, but I denied it for so long. I felt like I had no other choice but to believe him. He finally stopped contact with that woman, and the years after that were really great. A few years later, one of my parents passed away. It was a very difficult time in my life, and I was basically inconsolable. My husband was there for me every step of the way, and I am so grateful for him. While I was grieving, I returned to a hobby that my parent and I would share, which brought me joy. After a while, I made friends and was able to grieve less each and every day. Then one day, I met a man who at first was just a friend, but somehow it became something more. Long story short, we ended up having a long distance fling, which involved sexting and sending nudes for a couple of months until I felt so terribly guilty about doing this, and it was cut off. The next several months was excruciating for me. I felt so guilty. I wanted to die. I just hated myself entirely for even getting caught up in something like that. I felt that if I confessed to my husband, he would simply just leave me. However, it always stayed in the back of my mind that my husband potentially cheated on me long ago, and I felt like this was my way of finally getting the truth out. So after so many months of debating whether to come out with the truth, I decided to confront him about the one woman from many years ago. I figured if I asked him first about it, it would help me confess my sins. Well, not only did he confess to cheating on me with her, it was clear that it went on for a few years before he broke it off. On top of that, I learned that he and his affair partner had to make the mutual decision of having an abortion, which was heartbreaking to me because supposedly his affair partner was not pro-choice and my husband kinda wasn't either. But anyway, I ended up admitting what I did, but it ended up being like not relevant somehow. It all became about me learning that I wasn't actually crazy and imagining things for all those years, and all I could feel was devastated. I was being selfish by trying to find a way to confess my sin, only to end up being extremely hurt by learning a truth that outweighs what I did. It's been a few months since learning about it, and I've forgiven my husband, and we are in a much better place now. With that being said, I have no one I can talk to about this, and whenever he is not with me, my thoughts go to a dark place, and I end up torturing myself with thoughts of the past. Though, I will admit, with each passing day, I don't feel as hurt about it, especially when I know that my husband has done everything he can to prove to me that I'm his number one priority in life. I'm not looking for advice, but I did need to vent because I haven't been able to tell a single soul about it, given that I don't want family or his family to pass judgment on our situation. Also, I hate myself enough to see what y'all will say about my situation, because even though my husband did cheat on me, I was not innocent in the situation either. So I'm assuming that there is nothing nice that can be said. If you've read this far, I appreciate it, and looking forward to hearing from everyone. Edit. Okay, I was originally trying to respond to each and every comment, but now it's too much to keep up with. So I just want to make it a point that this post was made to just vent about a situation I was not able to talk about with anybody. I've already decided in my heart that I will work out things with my husband, which is going great. I understand the sentiment of many people in which they think that it is impossible to forgive someone who did what my husband did. But the reality is, I do forgive him. I trust him, and we are moving forward. I will seek out therapy, as it does seem important to at least speak to a professional about my situation. I appreciate everyone's perspectives. It did help in some ways, as it led to important conversations needed with my husband. Thank you, everyone. That was very thought-provoking.
At least you found out you weren't crazy. At least you were able to admit it. Both of you were able to admit you were wrong. You admit you're not innocent. And like I said, you've been validated and you weren't crazy for all those years. I'm on your side. Your situation's your situation. Your life is your life. Your marriage is your marriage. If you decide to forgive him and he decided to forgive you, that's all that matters. All these people writing think pieces of why you should leave him, or think pieces why you and your husband are the worst people on earth, they don't matter as long as you two love each other and you two spend your life together and you trust him, he trusts you. That's all that matters. You chosen to forgiving each other. I don't got anything against that. I hope everything goes smooth for you guys moving forward, and I hope you both seek the help that you feel you need to find, and it actually makes things better. But like I said, you guys moving forward together and deciding to be happy and move past the situations, that's a beautiful thing. Forgiveness is underrated. People on the internet don't have forgiveness or grace for anybody, but like I said, you two actually know each other, so you give the forgiveness and you give the grace you need to give for you guys to be happy. That's all the stories I have for today. If you made it this far, I appreciate you a lot. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And that's it. Bye.